Well, hello, everyone. At least for the moment, everyone on YouTube and Rockfin, because I seem to be having streaming difficulties at the moment to both Odyssey and Rumble. I do apologize to people who like to watch on Odyssey and Rumble. I don't know what's going on. So I apologize for that. You'll just have to come over to YouTube, or you will have to use Rockfin or even Gitter, because I am actually on Gitter now too, if you would like to watch the stream today, but we'll make sure we get it on the channels as a little replay. But guys, welcome to Effed Up News of the Week. Effed Up News is a special stream that I do on Sundays. Now, as you know, I do stream live at 5 o'clock on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my main channel. On Fridays, we go over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke. And on Saturdays, I rest, usually, except last night. I did a 4-hour stream last night, and I enjoyed every single second of that stream. And if you are in the mood for some gossip and some drama and all that good stuff, that is a perfect stream for you. If you are not interested in drama or gossip or all that stuff, that is not a good stream for you. Sometimes we just have to be adults. Like, anytime I talk about drama, I always get comments like, Carlin, all you ever talk about is drama, and they overlook the fact that I literally create hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content for them every single week that has nothing to do with content creator drama. They focus in on the one thing they don't like. They say, you always create drama, that's all that you do. I am unsubscribing, and they announce their departure in dramatic fashion as they saunter off over to Carrie Smith's YouTube channel. And you know, I just gotta say, guys, you gotta be adults. Sometimes you just have to, like, scroll past the thing that you don't like if you appreciate the other 95% of content that I create. But guys, please mount that like button for me. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not already. We've got some good stuff to go over today on Effed Up News of the Week. We're gonna start off. I'm just gonna give you a lay of the land of what we're gonna go over so you guys can decide if this is a stream for you. We got a bunch of, like, it is a random mishmash of stories today. We're going to start with an update from Burlington. This is going to be an interesting update. As you know, my Unwoke Army this past week broke some news about what's going on with grooming in the Burlington School District, with them putting 12-year-old 7th graders on the internet, talking about how they came out as trans, or not, well, they came out, I'm not positive it's trans, but they came out in 5th grade with the help of their guidance counselor. And we broke that news, and then a whole bunch of outlets picked it up, and so they've issued some statements. So we're going to do a little bit of update on that. We are going to talk about a church that is fasting from whiteness for Lent. I didn't even know fasting from whiteness was an option. We're going to talk about how in New Jersey, first graders are going to be learning about gender identity, which I could have actually told you before the New York Post reported it, because it is part of the law in New Jersey that is integrated into their curriculum by law. We are going to talk, oh, that's that church thing. Hang on, that's the wrong thing. We're going to read this article from the Huffington Post. I'm trying to raise my kids as homosexuals. Huh. That sounds that kind of sounds like conversion therapy to me. I thought we were outlawing that, but okay. We're going to look at how Palm Springs is offering a universal income, but only to trans and non-binary residents. We're going to talk about how you might have uranium in your drinking water. And we're going to read this story of a woke white Stanford academic being branded as Professor Karen for acting racist. It is always universally the woke white liberals who act the most racist in any given circumstance. And if we have some extra time, I've got some other stuff pulled up here too. I've got some Elon Musk stuff. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to cover it yet, because I have an Unwoke Army meeting at 6:30, and so there's only so much news I can cover in any one day. But we're going to get to it if we can, and if not, maybe we'll cover it tomorrow. Who really knows? But guys, if you appreciate the work that I'm doing, and if you would like to give me the very best birthday present that you can possibly give me, because my birthday is on Tuesday. I am turning 29th for, I think, the 12th time. So that's coming up on Tuesday. This is Carlin's month of narcissism, as you know, because I'm an Aries sun, and Aries and Aries sun during the Aries sun is all about the house of narcissism. At least that's the way I'm going to swing it. I'm not going to apologize for talking about myself in my month, man. Come on. I only get one of these a year. I'm milking it for all it's worth. And people on the internet can like complain about it all day, like, but if you would like to give me the very best birthday present that you could possibly give me, and you will also be supporting the work I'm doing, and you will get access to the very best community on all of Locals, bar none. I don't even think there's any, like, no other community on Locals comes close to how awesome my community is. What other community on Locals is breaking news and working as a team to uncover scandals in the public schools? No other Locals is doing that. Come on, man. So what you need to do is head over to kb.locals.com/support. You can become a supporter for $5 a month. You can become a supporter for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You could also make a one-time gift. When you become a member of my Locals, you get access to things like our book club that we have coming up in about 3 weeks at April 30th. We are reading Conversations with God, Book 1. This is a generalized spiritual book. This is not a Christian book. This is not a book that adheres to any major religion. It is just a generalized spiritual book that has that saucy quote that got me in so much trouble on Twitter about Hitler going to heaven. And so if you want to understand why I said that and the belief system behind that, which I think is beautiful, I don't care how many times they cancel me on Twitter. I don't care how PragerU feels about it. I don't care. I think that it is a beautiful philosophy and a beautiful way to look at the world. And we are reading the first book in the Conversations with God series, which is not, it's not a foundational text or anything for my belief system. It's not. My belief system is thousands of years old. But the reason I like Conversations with God is I think it is a very good, approachable text that illustrates in practice what this belief system is and how it applies in people's daily lives and how it manages doubt and how you are able to look at bad things that have happened to you, gain a new perspective on them, how you're able to look at good things that have happened to you, get a new perspective on them, how you're able to interact with people in a much better and positive way, far better than goes on Twitter on any given day. So if you would like to read this book was actually the first book club that we ever did for my Locals. And but my Locals has had so many new members on it since I did the first book club that I wanted to bring it back. So that's one of the things you're going to get access to as a member of my Locals, and you will also get access to 2 community Zoom calls every single week with me. These Zoom calls are private. People who are not in my Locals want to know what's going on in these Zoom calls so badly that they literally make up stories about what goes on these Zoom calls. I talked about this on the stream last night. Carrie Smith's little horde actually concocts stories about what goes on these Zoom calls because these Zoom calls are private. You don't get access to them unless I know who you are or I know you from the Locals community. And we talk about everything on these Zoom calls. We talk about life. We talk about the news. We talk about the world. We support each other. We help each other. We commiserate. We make plans. We gossip. Some people think that we form posses. I don't think we've ever formed a posse on a Zoom call before, but you'll have to come and find out and see for yourself. Our next community Zoom call is tomorrow at 7 p.m. We also have one regularly on Wednesdays at noon, and you can just drop in for a few minutes or you can stay the whole time. I spend between 6 to 8 hours every single week on private, non-recorded Zoom calls with my Locals communities, and they're the best. And I hope you'll all come and check them out at some point. We also just had a bitch craft this past weekend. That's a craft and bitch. We had it yesterday, so you're going to have to wait another month to get access to that. And of course, we have book club. We have interest groups in our supporter-only Discord. We have a writers group going. Sin and LK and Justin are working very hard on the writers group. So that's going really well, too. You're going to get all that and support the work I'm doing and make it so that I don't have to have a real job so I can spend more time with you guys fighting back against the woke and stuff like that when you become a member of my Locals. So I hope that you will head over to kb.locals.com/support and join us today. Yeah, Metastep says we should start a new rumor that Carlin is in the Illuminati. I mean, someone tried to start a rumor yesterday that I was a Fed. So, go for it. Start as many rumors as you like, I guess. It's better than me forming a posse. All right, let's jump into it. I want to start off with a Burlington update. And I've got another article that's going to be coming out about Burlington either tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm hoping tomorrow, but it might be Tuesday. So, as you know, we outed the Burlington School District this past week for being epic groomers. They're grooming middle schoolers, they're grooming elementary schoolers. We showed you the video. We have mountains of evidence of all of this. We have more evidence than we've even released. And in the work that we did, people took notice. Our thread got over 1 million views on Twitter. Ben Shapiro covered it, PragerU covered it, Fox News covered it. And so, people started, I guess, calling the Burlington School District and going, WTF, what are you doing to our kids? And so the Burlington School District has issued a statement. This was on April 7th. And they said, to our members of the LGBTQ plus community. Oh, excuse me. I left out 2 letters. LGBTQ plus IA community. And to those pushing hard for equity and justice, please know that I stand with you and the district stands with you. We see you. We value you. We love you. This is from the district superintendent, Tom Flanagan. We talked about Tom in the article that we wrote, in that Tom, when he became superintendent, but a few years ago, came in and made equity his #1 priority and built the entire school district budget around equity, to the point where this school district actually allocates money based on equity, which I wrote about in the article. Last year, with my full support, the Office of Equity began a series of community workshops on equity. Those are those things where they put 12-year-old children on YouTube. The conversations happening in these workshops have been moving, meaningful, and helpful to those seeking to learn more, share with others, and be in partnership and community. Well, as someone who has now probably watched more of those webinars than probably most of the parents in the Burlington School District, I disagree with that statement. I did not find these webinars moving, meaningful, or helpful. I found these webinars to be an epic display of using children to virtue signal. That's how I found these webinars. Unfortunately, last night, a blog, guys, we're just a blog. We're just a blog. That's all we are. We are just a blog. They obviously have not wrapped their heads around what's going on yet. A blog and a Fox News segment aired nationally about this work. And in the past 24 hours, Burlington School District staff and members of the LGBTQ plus IA community have received hateful, harmful, and discriminatory messages from people around the country. It is incredibly disturbing. It also shows the power of the work we are doing to value and support the experiences of members of our community who have been historically marginalized. I want receipts. I do not believe them. Now, I'm not saying that people haven't sent them mean tweets. I'm not saying that people maybe haven't sent them, WTF emails. I want to know what they actually got, though. I want receipts. Because if they were really that bad, they would have shown it. And you guys know that that's true. If they were really that bad, they would have shown it. As you know, hate is not welcome here, and messages of hate and discrimination have no place in our school district. We are working with the Burlington Police Department to ensure our staff and community are safe and protected. We have also reached out to the students and their families and staff involved in those workshops to check in and offer support. I'm going to just make a helpful suggestion, Tom, superintendent. Don't put 12-year-olds on the internet talking about how you helped them come out when they were in 5th grade, and you probably won't have a problem. Don't put 12-year-olds on the internet. Like, anyone can access anything that you put on the internet, dude. You were the one, Tom, and your Office of Equity were the ones that made the decision not to just put one 12-year-old, but multiple 12-year-olds across multiple different webinars on the internet, on display for the entire world, announcing their pronouns, announcing that they came out in the 5th grade with the help of a curriculum from the guidance counselor. You guys were the ones that made that decision. We didn't make that decision. We simply went onto your YouTube channel and watched what you put on your public YouTube channel, dude. Jeez. They always want to blame someone else. If they hadn't put the content on the YouTube channel in the first place, we would never have been able to see it. It's like, this is not even hard to understand. We have also we read that already, and we've spent a lot of time today talking about how we can be doing more to support our LGBTQIA plus staff, students, and community. We know we don't have all the answers, but we are committed to doing more, and we welcome your thoughts and suggestions. Though times are hard now, they're going to get harder, Tom. Wait till you start getting our FOIA requests, Tom. We have not yet begun to FOIA. We have not yet begun. Though these times are hard now, please join me in thanking and wrapping the brave staff and students who have spoken up about their experiences and who are creating change. You are making a difference in countless ways and lives, and you are welcome and appreciated in the Burlington School District in solidarity and appreciation. Incognito, thank you for the super chat. So Burlington is doubling down. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait till you see this next thing. It's not even just the schools that are doubling down. Burlington, the city, is also doubling down, and I will show you that in a second. And then Naruto says, put in a right to know request for those emails. Oh, Naruto. Listen, like someone, I guarantee you, someone's gonna clip what I just said when I said, "Oh, wait, you don't know hard times yet, Tom," and they're gonna make it seem like I was making some sort of threat of violence. No. I don't believe in violence, not in any way. I do believe in FOIA-ing and public record requesting the shit out of them, and we're already making plans. They're going to be, these people are going to be drowning in FOIA requests for their emails. Always request their emails. We're going to make a list. We're going to get local parents involved. I will personally help to crowdfund to pay for these FOIA requests to get access to their emails because, hey, Burlington School District, you know what? You're all state employees. That means that I can get access to every single email you have ever sent from your education account. Every single one, Burlington. And Essex Westford, I got my eye on you too. Don't think you're getting out of this. The FOIA requests have not yet begun to flow. But, as I said, interesting thing. It's not just the schools who are doubling down. The mayor of Burlington, Vermont, has come out in favor of grooming middle schoolers. This is a tweet from the mayor's account. Let's see. Oh, he hasn't blocked me yet. Good. This is Tom. This is the superintendent. So the mayor of Burlington retweeted this message, and he said, "Thank you, Tom, for this strong statement of support for our LGBTQIA," he forgot the plus, "and all that Burlington, Vermont schools are doing to make Burlington welcoming and inclusive for all. I am grateful to be able to send our 2 daughters to a school system with such commitment to these values." The mayor of Burlington just came out in favor of grooming children that he is sending his own precious darlings through the Burlington schools. This is how woke this community is. I really want to emphasize this. Carol says, so the mayor needs to go. Oh, no, Carol. That mayor is going to get reelected. Well, here's what you guys need to understand. If you haven't been tracking this stuff that we've been doing out of Burlington is going to be, I'm calling it right now. I truly believe that Burlington, Vermont will be the first American city built entirely on equity. It is uber progressive. It is uber woke. Every part of it. In fact, the next article that I'm going to write on this is about not the school's racial justice plan, the city's racial justice plan. The city of Burlington, Vermont has a batshit insane racial justice plan. We have the PDF of it. When a member of my locals, or a member of my Unwoke Army was reading this plan to me, and I literally thought he was making it up. I literally thought he was joking. That is how insane the city's racial justice plan is. So that's what my next article on Substack, on the Actively Unwoke Substack, is going to be. It's going to be Burlington City's racial equity plan, and the schools are included in that plan. And that's what's supported by the mayor, who just came out supporting the schools that are grooming the kids to the point that he's sending his daughters there. Burlington is going to be a fascinating case study to watch in terms of just like the epic amount of bullshit that we are going to be able to uncover. And we're going to be able to watch what happens when an entire city is built on equity. And this is something I'm going to be talking about in the Unwoke Army meeting in a little over an hour. So members of the Unwoke Army, if you're available, jump on the Zoom that I sent you earlier. And I want to talk about my plans and my thoughts about what to do next. And I want to hear your thoughts as well, because this is not me issuing decrees here. We work as a team. We're all working together on this. So we'll have a little conversation about that in a bit. Jenny's getting inky with it, says, can we get that as a shirt? I've not yet begun to FOIA. Oh, that would be a great shirt. We definitely should do that, Jenny. That's a great idea. And then we have this one from Melanie. Melanie, thank you for the super chat. I live in Hollis, Maine, September 20th, 2019. My daughter was 15 at the time, indoctrinated via the Pathfinders and the Gay Straight Trans Alliance at Bonnie Eagle High School. My family, her 2 brothers, and I miss her. Melanie, I'm really sorry to hear that. But just love her as best you can, and that's really all you can do in the situation. I'm really sorry to hear your story. All right. Hallie asks, what's a FOIA? FOIA is a public records request. It's essentially a request to the school to say, you need to show us what you're doing, and they have to show us what they're effing doing. So, and even if they try to stall, even if they try to refuse, we can throw sand in their gears by sending them lots and lots and lots and lots of FOIA requests. And we have a whole list going of the amount of requests that are coming in. So that's our update on the Burlington schools, guys. Please mount that like button if you are pleased that we will be documenting what's going on in the Burlington schools, and we're now expanding our work into the Essex Westford schools in Vermont. In Vermont, so those who don't know, I'm from Vermont. I grew up in Williamstown. I lived there until I was almost 30. So Burlington and Essex are literally right next to each other. It's exactly the same basic communities. So the same crap that's going on in Burlington is starting to happen in Essex as well. And we're also going to be looking into that. So stay tuned. We've got more coming there. Awesome Human, thank you for the super chat. Happy belated birthday. Have a beer on me. Love your work. Thank you, Awesome Human. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the super chat. All right, let's move into our next story. Now, I can't tell you how many people sent me this story to cover. Suburban church fasting from whiteness for Lent? Okay, let's see what is going on here. A suburban church has declared that it is fasting from whiteness for Lent. For Lent this year, First United is doing a mix of giving something up and taking something on. First United Park in Oak Park stated on his website. The church said that includes dropping music or liturgy written or composed by white people. Our music will be drawn from the African American spiritual traditions, from South African freedom songs, from Native American traditions, and many more. Listen, I don't actually have an issue with focusing in on certain types of music. I simply just think that they probably could have focused in on, let's just say, more diverse types of music without specifically saying, we're banning white people. You can do one without doing the other. It's fine to listen to, South African music or, Native American traditional music or things like that. I mean, some of that music is really, really beautiful, and I think everyone should be exposed to it. But you can listen to that without saying, we're banning white people. The church put up a sign on the property announcing the fast, stating that its worship services would be built around the voices of Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color. For Lent, it is our prayer that in our spiritual disciplines, we may grow as Christians, united in the body of Christ, with people of all ages, nations, races, and origins, the church stated on its website. Lent is a 40-day Christian season of fasting, prayer, and almsgiving that begins on Ash Wednesday, March 2nd, and generally ends at sundown on Holy Thursday, which falls on April 14th this year. Well, thank God that they're going to be able to pick whiteness back up in just a couple of days. Now, the church predictably got some backlash on this, and so they issued a statement. They issued this statement. I can't. Oh, let's download the PDF. See if I can make this a little bit bigger. Let's see. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. The church also placed fast. Okay. Reverend John, senior pastor, says the whole practice has been about love. Yes, yes, not including people by race is certainly something that tends to be about love. The love of God and neighbor is not just about giving something up, but taking something on. Justice must be loved into existence. It is the only way white people absolutely have a place in the redemption story. White people were even at the foot of the cross. They were Roman guards. Oh my God. As white people, we must love our Redeemer enough to put down our spears. We must love our Redeemer more than our whiteness. I'm not sure this statement was probably the most helpful in damage control. This statement actually seems to make things worse. We must love our Redeemer more than we love our whiteness. Are you kidding me? And kneel before our Redeemer, who is a dark-skinned man from poor parts of town. Hey, listen, I will give them this. At least we have started admitting that Jesus wasn't white. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've actually had this argument with Christians. Listen, man, my arguing with Christians is not recent. I have been arguing with Christians since high school. Since high school. I am well versed in the things that Christians say and in the arguments Christians have, because I've been doing it for at least 20 years. And I'd go off and on with it. I don't always spend time arguing with Christians, but I've been doing it for a good long time. And one of the arguments that I've always had is I'm like, Jesus wasn't white, right? And they're always like, no. So I will say that I'm actually happy that we have reached a place in which we can acknowledge that Jesus was not white. That's a positive development. The church also placed a fasting from whiteness sign on its front lawn, proclaiming this Lent we lift up the voices of Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color. Well, again, it's like these people think that in order to lift something up, that means you have to push something else down. That is fundamental. When I listen, I've got this book coming out next month. It's called Actively Unwoke. Actually, 1 month from today, this book is coming out. One of the things I write about in Actively Unwoke is that the woke are destroyers. They are fundamentally destroyers. People who are creators, they don't need to destroy other people in order to be successful. They don't even feel the need to go after other people in the same way that people like the woke do, right? But the woke, they really don't know how to exist in a world unless they're destroying other people, unless they're pushing other people down. And they don't understand that you don't need to push other people down in order to achieve your goals. You can do that. You don't have to do one in order to do the other. It seems like this church doesn't actually know that. In this case, taking something on became living in a reality of white supremacist backlash in this country. Hateful messages started after an online piece by Turning Point USA, and after other white right-wing outlets criticized this practice, other conservative media have picked it up. The church has received well over 1,000 hateful messages in under a day. Oh no. Oh no, they've gotten mean emails. They've gotten mean emails. Guys, however will they survive? This is where actually walking the walk of love can take you in this country today. Jesus knew it. And blessed are those who stood up for righteousness' sake. This is one of the issues I have with Christians. They see it as their place to be persecuted. And so every single time they get negative backlash, they're like, you are just persecuting me because I am walking in the path of righteousness. Like, no, we're persecuting you because you're doing stupid shit. Blessed are you when people revile and persecute you. Matthew 5:11. Oh, how fun. How fun. That definitely doesn't seem as well, I mean, I would say that seems as equally crazy as a church that kicks people out for living in sin, like we heard about last night. But moving on. Moving on. Is there anyone here from New Jersey? Anyone here from New Jersey? If you're watching in New Jersey and you have children in the public schools, just, understand that they're going to be learning some crazy shit because it is literally dictated by law in New Jersey that gender nonsense will be integrated into the curriculum in the schools. This is in the New York Post. New Jersey first graders to learn about gender identity in new sex ed lessons. Planned sex education. Lessons for first graders in New Jersey will include discussions of gender identity, outraging some parents and Republican politicians, including potential presidential candidate Chris Christie. I don't know why Chris Christie thinks he has any shot of being president at all in any way. That is not going to go anywhere. Savritz, thank you for the super chat. Those who dispersed around the globe centuries ago can now absorb the technology and cultures of those nations. The one world slave race will not revolt against being a slave because they'll believe they are the highest beings. Savritz, you always give us something to think about. I deeply appreciate you, and I appreciate you calling into the channel last night. A 30-minute lesson called Pink, Blue, and Purple, which are the colors of the trans flag, aims to teach 6-year-olds to define gender, gender identity, and gender role stereotypes, Fox News reported on Friday. It also includes instructions for teachers to tell students that their gender identity is up to them according to the materials reportedly distributed to parents at a February 22nd meeting of the Westfield Board of Education and posted online. You might feel like you're a boy, even if you have body parts that some might tell you are girl parts, the lesson plan says. You might feel like you're a girl, even if you have body parts that some people might tell you are boy parts. And you might feel like you're not a boy or a girl, but you're a little bit of both. No matter how you feel, you're perfectly normal. Well, you know what they never tell these kids, though? What they never tell these kids is every single person who has ever been a child and ever gone through puberty ever feels awkward and weird. Every single person who has ever grown up and gone through puberty feels awkward and weird and don't feel like they are part of the well, at least, I mean, this is my perception. I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong. Like, every single person feels awkward and weird when they're a kid and a teenager. They never tell them this. They just say, if you feel awkward and weird, well, then you just might not be the gender that was assigned to you at birth. Like, I cannot tell you how many times growing up I wished I was a boy. Again, I've talked about this before. I've thought about this a lot. If I had gone through the school system today, I 100% would have been transitioned. I know it for an absolute fact. I dressed like a boy. I looked like a boy. I wanted to play with the boys. I only wanted to play boy sports. I only wanted to play baseball. I didn't want to play softball. Like, I didn't want to do anything girly. I 100% would have been transitioned if I had grown up today. There is no doubt in my mind about it at all. And no one ever explains to these kids, especially to the girls, everyone feels weird when they're growing up. If you feel weird, it is perfectly natural to feel weird. That doesn't mean you're trans. And I have no problem with trans people at all. I don't care. Live your best life. I want everyone to be happy and do what makes them happy. And I don't care about your pronouns. I will use whatever you want me to, as long as I don't think you're doing it to gain power over me. Like, I believe in basic respect and courtesy for everyone. And I believe that everyone's choices are theirs and they are none of my effing business. But why can't we tell, especially young girls, everyone feels awkward when they go through puberty. It's natural. It's just what it is. It's going to get better. Just wait it out. Why can't we be reinforcing that message? I do not understand. Naruto says, ironically, now it's the woke left who would argue that Jesus was white. Isn't that ironic? Naruto, you know what? Naruto's 100% correct. Actually, you are 100% correct, because they consider Christianity to be part of white supremacy. So you are 100% right about that, Naruto. A lesson plan for second graders titled Understanding Our Bodies includes an illustrated discussion of human genitals. So kids as young as 7 can use medically accurate names for their private parts. I don't actually have much of a problem with that, to be really honest with you. Tell students there are some body parts that mostly just girls have, and some body parts that mostly just boys have, it says. Note to teachers also says being a boy or girl doesn't have to mean you have those parts, but for most people, this is how their bodies are. The details emerged to make controversy over the don't say gay thing, blah blah blah. I am honestly appalled at this curriculum, says Maria, a mother of two. I'm debating whether to place my child in private school if I can afford it. Is this curriculum really necessary? Children need to stay children. Their innocence is beautiful, and I don't want their minds filled with a very adult topic. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at the documents yet. I kind of think that this is conservative parents getting outraged over something that might actually not be the worst thing in the world. To be honest, that's kind of, I know that might not be a popular opinion, but that's kind of my initial impression of this. I don't think there's anything wrong with kids learning the proper name of body parts. I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's bad. So parents who are able to opt out of having their kids take, so they are able to opt out. So why is this even a thing? But Paula says, who said the curriculum makes me sick, said the move would be stigmatizing. My granddaughter is going to be entering 8th grade. If she opts out of class, she's going to be looked at by her peers in a different manner. She may be bullied or harassed, and I don't agree with the child being targeted because of family moral issues. Well, that's kind of growing up in school, man. In an appearance on Fox News, Chris Christie says, I think this is just a further indication of the crazy liberal policies of my successor, Phil Murphy, who is in the progressive movement. He's on the left of the progressive movement. Well, Chris Christie's using this as a talking point because that's all Chris Christie knows how to do. So crazy stuff going on in New Jersey. I think my big takeaway on this one, to be honest, again, it's not these specific lessons. I didn't see anything in that article that made me go, that's really not something that should be taught to kids, to be honest. I know that might be a controversial take, but I didn't see anything that was like that bad. But what people in New Jersey do need to know is by law, this stuff is taught in the New Jersey schools. That probably should have been the lead in this story, to be honest, if this particular journalist was doing his job. I don't know why I know that, and this journalist doesn't know that since, he's the journalist and probably has a blue check on Twitter and therefore knows everything. But that is actually part of the law. I don't think I wouldn't say this is a case of the slippery slope. In my I do think that some things are like, again, I don't actually think it's a bad idea to teach kids the proper name of body parts. I don't find that offensive, but I haven't looked at the documents, so I could be wrong there. Anyway, where I don't think I'm wrong though, I'm trying to raise my kids as homosexuals. Huh. Huh. Why are you trying to raise your kid with any specific sexuality? Why can't you just allow the kids to grow up and figure out what they like when it comes time for them to like the thing? Why do we have to raise people in one specific direction or the other? Allow people to grow up and develop, and they're going to come to their own conclusions about who they like and who they want to sleep with. It's going to happen naturally. You don't even have to do anything about it. Let's read. How am I attempting to raise my kids as homosexual, you ask? Well, it's simple. I learned how from watching straight people enforce a straight sexual orientation on their children without ever saying straight. One of the most amazing things about cisgender straight people is that most of them think they don't have a sexual orientation or a gender identity. A major premise of Florida's recently passed Don't Say Gay bill is that children should be sheltered from discussions of sexual orientation, and in many ways, I, a queer mom married to a woman, actually agree with this. That also goes for this gender identity too. I think it would be amazing if schools stopped teaching gender as an innate expression stemming from what is in one's pants. And I believe young children can learn all about love and family and different family structures without needing to have it framed in ways that are overly sexual or romantic. But that's not how straight society likes to play. Savard says they're installing the deconstructionist ideologies in the masses. Also, the adults have created the trans kids all under the guise of philanthropy. Thank you, Savard, for the super chat. The ironic twist regarding this legislation is that mainstream straight culture enjoys aggressively heterosexualizing young children in ways that, if LGBTQ people did it, we would have labeled perverts, extremists, and child abusers. And yet, heterosexual grooming, a term I coined for this phenomenon, is so constant and ubiquitous. Most people don't even notice it. You guys hear that? They're trying. They're trying. These people hate the term groomer so much that they're trying to reclaim the term groomer. Listen, I was skeptical about the overuse of the term groomer. I continue to worry that if we use the term groomer too much, it could become just as meaningless as the term racist or just as meaningless as the term Nazi. But it really pisses them off. It really, 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 really pisses the woke off. And I am universally in favor of almost anything that will really, 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 really piss off the woke. And so I actually love to see this. I love to see that they hate the term groomer so much that they're trying to take it back. And that means we can't let them. We need to double down. This is a strategy that's working. It's a strategy that's effective. Anytime you find something that's effective, you double down immediately. What is heterosexual grooming? It's a set of practices and expectations based on a child's assigned gender at birth, which promotes the formation of a romantic and possessive relationship between opposite sex parents and children and parents. As soon as these straight parents find out if they have a penis baby or a vagina baby, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We're now calling them penis baby and vagina baby? They seem to be obsessed with the idea of a romantic bond forming with the parents who have different genitals from the baby. I find this really upsetting. It not only sexualizes children, but it does so in the context of family. Yuck. And yeah, perhaps applying the term heterosexual grooming to this practice sounds a bit harsh, but gay marriage is constantly likened to bestiality, and maybe we all just need a thicker skin, right? Well, I personally would never liken gay marriage to bestiality, and I would encourage everyone to not do that. I will acknowledge that there are absolutely people on the right who do that, and they should really stop because it's not the same thing. Another instance in when conservatives make things harder than they need to be. Before everyone freaks out about this, let me take a moment to say not all straight people. But even if you are a straight person who is feeling defensive, I suggest you explore this defensiveness. She's talking about straight person fragility right now. She's saying straight people have fragility. Is it perhaps because you're so accustomed to being part of and promoting a multi generational, zealous, and omnipresent offense for Team Straight without even noticing that you're doing it? That's because this problem is systemic. It's a system straight and cisgender people benefit from and uphold. Holy shit. This person is literally taking like everything that Robin DiAngelo has done and everything Ibram X. Kendi has done, and she's just changing the words to apply it to the LGBT community. That's all they're doing. George Andre Velasco Nunez says, "Is this woman arguing people are only straight because they are raised straight? If I was raised straight, still gay." Yes, I think that is exactly what she's arguing. She's arguing that that straight parents, homosexual groom their children. There it is. Before everyone freaks out about this, oh, I already read that. Of course, you can actively opt out, but that's a conscious choice that takes a lot of work. Many parents think they say gay, but they don't do it often. And they never do when talking about their kids' sexualities. They may love and discuss LGBTQ adults in their life, but they imagine and believe their kids or the kids they know are straight or cisgender. Even in the most liberal of households, most kids will be raised as straight until they come out as otherwise. Yes, that remains a high statistical likelihood that your children will end up straight and cis, but they are way more likely to be LGBTQ than they are to be a doctor or lawyer or a professional athlete, and plenty of folks are still able to picture and hope for those futures for their kids. I'm trying to decide if is this essay like is this essay serious, or is this written to just make a political point by swapping out race with like sexuality? Is this a serious essay? Or are they just trying to make a point? Because sometimes I'll write things, and I do this on Twitter all the fucking time. Like, I will tweet things that I don't necessarily believe, but I'm trying to make a point about it, or I'm trying to get a reaction out of it, or I'm trying to illustrate a certain concept, but I don't necessarily believe the thing I tweet. I'm using it for like a larger purpose. I'm wondering if that's what this essay is, or is this a serious essay? I don't know the answer to that. Let me know what you think in the chat. What is most disturbing about heterosexual grooming is how young a child is when it begins and how aggressively it is often carried out throughout the course of the child's life. The father of the briding business starts when infants or heterosexual families are brought home from the hospital in a tiny onesie with slogans like Daddy's Girl and Sorry Boys, Daddy Says No Dating. Kids assigned male at birth may end up in a Sorry Girls, My Heart Belongs to Mommy, or a Boob Man, Tiny T. I know, this is all in good fun. If your idea is fun, is strategically forcing a sexual orientation on children before they can even say dada or mama. I don't know who needs to hear this, but newborn babies can't read. Newborn babies can't read. They can't read. They don't know what's on the shirt. You're not enforcing any idea of a sexual orientation on them because they cannot read. And it doesn't stop when children become verbal. Toddlers are apparently major heterosexual flirts. From the way some adults talk, these kids always seem to know to make eyes at anyone who has a different set of genitals from their own. This cannot be a serious essay. How they fine tune this ability at such a young age, my own bisexual brain can't comprehend. It's almost as if parents are just willfully creating a world where there is only one way to be, and they project that onto their children. This blind indoctrination continues in elementary school and furthers into adolescence with daddy daughter dances. Wait, hang on. Like, you can be gay and still have a daddy daughter dance. Like, I never did that shit because my father never came to any of my things. But like, you can still you can be a lesbian and still do a daddy daughter dance. Like, that has nothing to do with sexual orientation at all. And it really, I mean, let's just be honest. If the daddy daughter dance is a sexual thing, that's messed up, man. That is messed up. Jenny's getting inky with it, says babies aren't biologists either. Excellent point, Jenny. Excellent point. Overprotective father culture and teasing kids that they aren't each other's boyfriend and girlfriend if they have friends who are of the opposite sex. Even in adulthood, there's into this idea that daddy never wants to be replaced by another man and that no woman will ever be good enough for mama's perfect boy. It blows my mind the mainstream hetero society decided to take all of their twisted Freudian business and treat it like a public to-do list rather than save it for therapy. At first, I thought that heterophilia forced on kids was disgusting until it gave me the fantastic idea that I could also raise my children with preferred sexual orientation from the very beginning of their lives. Although I am bi, my wife and I choose to go full on homo with our kids. And let me tell you what, I think it's working. As soon as we got our daughter home, she was obsessed with boobs, beyond the milk thing. She was a boob man. As she grew up, most of her friends in preschool were girls, and we just knew that there were something more between them. As soon as she was old enough, we signed her up for softball so she could meet other LGBT toddlers. Turns out, she's more of a high femme. Oh well, we'll let her quit as soon as she finds a girlfriend or maybe a wife. LOL, moms can dream, right? It's been a little awkward when kids talk about their straight dads and moms at school. If only they could keep that lifestyle to themselves, but we quickly dismiss the point of talking by telling her that's just something kids say. Now, listen, I do think there is actually something to be said for the fact that I hear conservatives say all the time, well, if anyone talks about gay marriage, they're trying to push that lifestyle on us, and maybe they could just keep it to themselves. I have heard many conservatives say that. So on that point in that paragraph, I want to concede that point. They're making a good point there. Conservatives need to stop saying that. Christians, I'm looking at you because you are usually the primary perpetrators of this. You need to stop saying that. Because when you turn it around, you're like, oh, yeah, that's, that happens. It does. Now, because we're a two-mom family, making sure our son is gay is trickier. But we already have a perfect husband picked out for him. Another boy his age. Hi, Amelia. They even kissed once through the bars of the crib. They couldn't speak yet. But why would that stop us from knowing they had a spark? We're doing whatever we can to encourage his gayness, like only letting him listen to show tunes and Britney Spears, no Baby Shark for our little queer spawn, and we're crossing our fingers that all this hard work will pay off. What's amazing is that we can do all this without ever actually saying the word gay. We just have to make sure that our kids understand that the only appropriate desire they could ever have is for the same gender. That's fucked up, man. That's messed up. Sadly, because our culture privileges and prioritizes straight and cis identities, it's not only those folks who assume the world and the future is hetero and cisgendered. LGBTQ people have rarely been told that we have a future to imagine or claim for ourselves. We have been denied our legacy. Our history is hidden. Our contributions are denied. Our lives are demeaned. Our love is labeled as dangerous. Because of this, many LGBTQ people still believe we should have to be straight or cis to have a future worth living, and legislation like the Don't Say Gay bill reminds us how truly vulnerable we are. As a reminder, all the Don't Say Gay bill says is that you can't talk about sexuality and gender with kindergarten through third graders. That's all it says. Literally all it says. It's not denying anyone's lived fucking experience. Ultimately, I don't think some politicians and parents who support the Don't Say Gay bill believe that if we don't talk about the LGBTQ community to kids, then they won't figure out that they're part of it. We know that's not how it works. Yes, exactly. That's not how it works. Humans grow up, and when the timing is correct, they start to develop a sense of who they want to sleep with and who they are attracted to. It is going to happen regardless of whether you talk to them about this in kindergarten through third grade. And let's be honest, that development ain't happening in kindergarten through third grade anyway. It's not. We're talking about 5 to 8 years old. No matter what parents or other role models do, you can't make someone gay or bi or trans or anything else. I wrote this piece as a satire. Well, thank God for that. Thank God I was right that this was not a serious article. To make a point, even if my wife and I actually spent every waking moment trying to force a gay agenda on our kids, they may still turn out to be straight. Well, that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. So then why do you need to talk to them about it when they're 5 to 8 years old? That makes you have proven the point of why that bill is not this offensive fucking like tragedy that the progressive left is making it out to be. Because they're going to grow up and they're going to figure out who they are and what they want, and ain't nothing you can do about it either way. Ain't nothing, unless you convince them that they're trans when in fact they're going through puberty and they end up taking hormone blockers and cutting off their body parts when they're 15 years old. Then they have a problem on their hands when they figure out later that they were just going through puberty and they felt really awkward, and then all of a sudden they've cut off their body parts, can never get them back. That's the problem. That is the problem. But thank God that article was satire, I suppose. All right, guys, please make sure you mount that like button. If you have not mounted that like button already, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. In our next story, we're talking about UBI, but not for everyone. Not for everyone. We are talking about equity. An equity UBI that is reserved only for people based on their immutable characteristics coming out of Palm Springs. And this makes me sad because I actually love Palm Springs. My cousin lives out in Palm Springs. I've stayed out there many times for like extended period of times. I wrote most of my first book in Palm Springs at Lulu's at happy hour with all the old gay men. Palm Springs moves ahead with universal income pilot program for transgender non-binary residents. A Southern California city is moving ahead with a plan to provide transgender and non binary residents monthly payments as part of a guaranteed income pilot program, anticipated to roll out over next year. The Palm Springs City Council approved the proposal at a meeting on March 24th, which will kickstart the program with $200,000 to fund initial research and planning. The pilot program would eventually provide monthly payments to a number of transgender and non binary residents in Palm Springs with no stipulations on how the money can be spent. A Palm Springs City Council report highlights transgender and non binary residents as a particularly vulnerable due to unemployment, homelessness, assault, and discrimination. Listen, I cannot imagine any city in the world that is probably more welcoming of trans and non binary residents than Palm Springs. Has anyone ever actually been to Palm Springs? You can't, like, Palm Springs right now has like two really, well, it's got a bunch of things going for it. But like, listen, man, you can't throw a rock in Palm Springs without hitting someone that's gay. I'm sorry. This idea that trans and non-binary people are so discriminated against in Palm effing Springs that they need to institute a UBI to help take care of these poor marginalized people. That's absurd. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The program will also look to state funding from the $35 million allocated to 2021 towards guaranteed income programs across California. The program, in partnership with the Palm Springs-based DAP Health and QueerWorks, would roll out in 3 phases, with launch expected between October and February 2023. Residents would be invited to apply in March. The Palm Beach pilot program is part of a broader trend in cities. Blah, blah, blah. They talk about Los Angeles. Other programs that are going on. So, that's a thing. That's a thing. I don't know why that's necessary in Palm Springs, but okay. I guess we're moving forward with that. All right, guys, we got a couple more stories to go through. Did you know that your drinking water might have uranium in it? This seems problematic to me. I'm not a sciencey type person. My husband is much more of a sciencey person than I am a sciencey person. But it does seem, well, a little problematic if your drinking water has uranium. Look here, there's even a helpful map. Apparently, me in New Hampshire, I think I'm over here somewhere off of the side. Maybe I can make this bigger and I'll be able to see New Hampshire. Nope, that's actually just the image. New Hampshire looks to be okay, but man, some of you in like Texas or maybe like, you know, like, oh, look at like Portland, or like, what is this, like Seattle or something? That's going to have uranium. Let's read. Data from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, shows that drinking water in some parts of America may contain unsafe levels of uranium. Researchers from Columbia University analyzed nationwide data and compared it to safety standards laid out by the EPA. They found that many localities in the South and Midwest in particular have unsafe levels of uranium detected in the water. While small amounts of many chemicals are acceptable in water according to safety standards, consistent exposure to it in drinking water can cause a long list of deadly and debilitating diseases. You think? You think? Like, there's some like, look at this. Like, okay, Oklahoma looks like you're pretty good, but man, like, what is this? Is this like Kansas or something? Man, there are some places. Southern California. Oh, Los Angeles. Figures. Figures. Contaminated water has been a rising issue in America off of the back of the Flint water crisis. An increased attention has been paid to contamination of lead and other metals in U.S. drinking water, which is more common than many believe. Um, Alexandra asked, "What's the website?" Alexandra, I'll ping this in the chat for you right now so you can go look at this article. This is just on the Daily Mail. Researchers who published their findings at the start of the month in the Lancet Planetary Healthy generated data from 2000 to 2011 for the study reviewing recorded metal levels from nearly 35,000 sites. Levels of antimony, arsenic, barium, lots of other things I don't know how to pronounce, were studied. They found elevated levels of uranium across the country, with researchers noting that semi urban and Hispanic communities were more at risk of being exposed to the contaminated water. In total, nearly two-thirds of sites tested had some sort of uranium contamination. Well, I really covered this one not because I know that much about, uranium or, I care about drinking water, but we get bottled water for most of our stuff. But like, I just wanted to give you guys an FYI that, yeah, people should probably look into this because I'm not sure that drinking uranium is actually like a healthy thing for most people to be doing. So, this is one of those things. You know what this is? This is one of those things that is probably a significantly more important story that it's being made out to be. But because journalists suck so badly, they're gonna do like some Fox News story about like, oh, like the fucking what was it Demi Lovato or something tweets something about her pronouns, and Daily Wire covers that. But we're not talking about uranium in the drinking water. We've got to talk about Demi Lovato's pronouns on Twitter. This is why the profession of journalism is dead. We should not be talking about people's pronouns. We should probably be talking a lot more about uranium in drinking water. Just saying. Savret says the feminizing the masculine and masculizing the feminine to be androgynous organism. When man knew no woman and woman knew no man, that is one that one world conspirators absolutely believe. Women categorically deleted. Well, to be fair, men would categorically be deleted as well. Everyone gets deleted. We all have no gender now. Moving on, let's talk about a liberal white lady. It sounds like she's getting a little comeuppance, to be honest. Sounds like a little comeuppance to me. This is in the Daily Mail. Woke white Stanford academic is branded Professor Karen for threatening to call police on black Berkeley professor who opposed her plans to dumb down the school's math curriculum to boost equity. It's always the liberal white savior, ladies. Every time. A white Stanford educator has been nicknamed Professor Karen after carrying out a protracted battle with a black computer science professor at UC Berkeley over a proposal to change the school's math curriculum. Joe, a lecturer in education, of course, she's teaching in education. Of course, she's teaching education at Stanford, and she's the liberal white savior lady. Of course, every time. First drew the ire of Jelani for her support of a new recommended math program in California schools. The controversial suggestions, which would have lowered the rigorousness of the state's curriculum in an attempt to increase equity, have made some angry because in part they question the concept of student giftedness. Nelson has long been critical of Bowler's work on the new California math framework, saying Bowler was charging $5,000 an hour. Holy shit. To peddle controversial theories, while black academics were ignored. She's like, basically, this woman is like the Robin DiAngelo of Stanford. Liberal white savior lady trying to make all that money. And not allowing the marginalized and oppressed black professors to make it themselves. Nelson even retweeted a filing saying Bowler was paid $40,000 in total, $5,000 an hour for her work with a school district in Oxnard, California. Bowler then grew angry over another retweet. This is a Twitter fight. The Daily Mail is reporting on a Twitter fight. Listen, I appreciate the content of the Twitter fight. I do. But this is a Twitter fight. And it ended up in the news. Nelson even retweeted a filing showing Buller was paid $40,000 in total, $5,000 an hour. Buller then grew angry over another retweet of Nelson's, which amplified a user who had made her address public. The person who wrote the tweet later deleted it. There they are, arguing on Twitter. Oh, look. They actually have screenshots of the tweets of them arguing on Twitter. Jelani says, the proposed California math framework states improving math learners for Black students as central motivation and has 0 Black authors. Instead, one author has alarmingly lucrative consulting deals with Black districts with a large minority population charging $5,000 an hour. Listen, I ain't going to fault anyone for making money from consulting. I just do think it's a little funny that it kind of seems like this whole thing comes down to the fact that a Black professor was pissed off that a white professor was making money on consulting. And they tweeted about it. A Stanford professor just threatened me with the police after Barbecue Becky, Permit Patty, Golf Cart Gail, and all the memes. We now have retweet Rachel. Public advisory. Don't call the cops on Black people for no reason. Black people disagreeing with you on Twitter is not a crime. Oh. Are you saying if a Black person disagrees with you on Twitter, that doesn't make you a racist? Both these professors are woke, man. Dear Professor, this is an email. Dear Professor Nelson. Okay, so we've got his tweet there complaining about how much money she makes. Dear Professor Nelson, as you know, I am one of the authors of the proposed mathematics framework, and I know you are working to oppose it. If you had ever reached out to any of the authors, we could have worked together to make sure your concerns were listened to and acted upon. As a courtesy to fellow faculty members, I wanted to let you know that the sharing of private details about me on social media yesterday is now being taken up by the police. I was shocked to see that you are taking part in the spreading of misinformation and harassing me online. Wait, what? Wait. He didn't share private information. He shared publicly available information about how much a public school was paying her for consulting. And she threatened to call the cops? God. This is actually a case of a racist, liberal, white savior lady who doesn't like the fact that she's making $5,000 an hour known on Twitter. On Tuesday, Nelson sent out a screenshot of an email Buller sent him from last week. And we just read that email. Nelson then claimed that Buller threatened him with the police and compared her to other instances of white people who have called out the authors on Black people. And we read that tweet as well. Buller denied the accusation and said she merely mentioned the police as a courtesy because I thought it was better that he did not engage with the person who wrote the original tweet. Oh, she's issued an apology. Of course, she's issued a dramatic apology. I want to apologize for leaving the impression that I had referred you to the authorities or was threatening to. That is not what happened. I referred to the original post, not yours, to Twitter, because it violated Twitter's policies about revealing my address. It didn't. Where was her address revealed? I'm not seeing her address being revealed. Indeed, Twitter locked that account for a time and then because the tweet was removed. Okay, so maybe he did tweet her address. Don't tweet people's addresses, man. That's not good form. Don't tweet people's addresses. As standard procedure, staff at Stanford alerted our threat prevention office, which includes lawyers and the police, that my address had been posted online. I have received death threats in the past against me and my children that have created reason for concern. I did not mention your name to any authorities or to Twitter. I reached out to you so you were aware of the original posting of my address was prohibited. I am very sorry that my communication... She's so full of shit. I'm sorry. She's so full of shit. I don't believe her apology at all. Listen, I don't condone her address being posted online. That kind of sucks. But she's so full of shit. If you read this email, she is clearly trying to get this guy to shut up. Now, I don't necessarily like this guy either because he's whining and complaining because he's jealous that someone has consulting contracts that he doesn't have. So he is not innocent in this either. He is whining on Twitter over things that don't matter because he's jealous that he doesn't make those consulting bucks. But she was obviously and clearly trying to shut him up with this email, and now she's trying to have some haphazard apology to try to make it seem like she wasn't. No, 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 no. That was exactly what was going on. And we keep going. Oh, good. To be clear, what I've retweeted is not misinformation, not private, and not harassment. It's a screenshot of the public record. See for yourself. I have spent 1,000 hours setting up and contributing to educational programs for the benefit of Black kids for free. This is basically woke infighting. Nelson told reporters he thought she was full of it, and he's right. The accusations came immediately after a sentence invoking police and lawyers, a sentence that could only be read in context as a threat against me specifically. Since then, the conservative Stanford Review has referred Bowler as Professor Karen. Bowler, in an email to SFGate on Thursday, continued to deny the accusation. I would never even think of threatening a Black man with the police. I know how serious that is in our society, and there could be nothing further from my intent, she wrote. It goes against all my life work, which has been to support and elevate to the needs of marginalized students. I don't know why I have a southern accent all of a sudden. I don't know why that's coming out. It's just like I let the voice come where it will. I have publicly stated that I'm sorry for the way it read, that I did not intend it to be threatening. Well, Professor Karen, intent doesn't matter in your woke ideology. Only impact matters. Intent doesn't matter. Only impact. It's always so funny when they don't apply their own rules to themselves. She also claimed that Nelson was lying about Bowler having made $5,000 an hour at the school district. He was spreading misinformation that is not my hourly rate or anything close to the rate paid by Oxnard. And as a fellow academic, he knows that to be the case, she wrote. Well, she's actually probably telling the truth there because sometimes, like, here's how my consulting billing works anyway. You bill, like, I might have like a day rate for, okay. So I have like day rates for things. So if I'm doing work with a company, there is a specific rate that, if I'm doing like a full day workshop or something, there's a day rate for that. If you break down that day rate, it is a pretty good hourly rate. It is a pretty good, I'll even tell you exactly how much it looks like I make an hour with my day rate. I have to do math. I haven't done this before. So my normal day rate divided by, let's just say 8 hours. Yeah. So if you look at my day rate, it looks like I make like $1,500 an hour. However, there are hours and hours and hours of prep that goes into before that particular workshop. And there's usually debrief after that workshop. So what looks like it might, so what, when, if he's positioning something to say that it looks like $5,000 an hour, it's probably not actually, because there's probably a lot of prep work that goes in before and there's probably debrief stuff after. So it's that is actually probably legit. Bowler was then asked about the filing Nelson produced, saying she made exactly that amount. She argued that was only for contact hours with teachers. Aha! And didn't include the time she spent prepping, saying it could take 10 to 15 hours to prepare her presentations, which she also billed at. See? Told ya. Told ya. She does not dispute having made $40,000 from the Oxnard School District. Bowler said she apologized to Nelson, though he has yet to respond, and adds, "Oh, she's pulling woke points. Holy shit, watch this. The result of his posting was that I received threatening, hateful, and misogynistic emails and texts. I have even received graphic threats to kill my daughters. It is terrifying." I don't believe that. I believe she's received mean emails. I believe she's received mean tweets. I believe that. I don't believe she's received threats against her kids. I do not believe it. I want receipts. I don't believe it. She added that she feels being called retweet Rachel, among other threats, is hugely damaging to my work and to my well-being and to my family. My email to him was an invitation to talk professor to professor. You hate to see it, right? This is actually the perfect story to end on. We're not going to do any Elon Musk today. This is the perfect story to end on. You want to know why? This is the woke ideology eating itself. This is the woke ideology turning inward on itself, and they have nowhere else to go. It's like eventually they are going to eat themselves. We just have to make sure that we get the hell out of the way and antagonize them into going at each other so they stop coming at us. All right, guys, that is all I have for effed up news of the week today. As a reminder, I do stream live on this channel on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We've got some great streams coming up this week, and I'm really looking forward to them. Of course, we also have Nothing Remotely Controversial on Tuesday night with Joshua. You always want to make sure you come back for that. Please make sure you mount that like button for me. And of course, if you want to give me the best birthday present you could possibly give me, I would love it if you would join my locals community. We've got a couple of community Zoom calls coming up this week. Of course, the Unwoke Army is still continuing on their trek against the Burlington School District, and we're going to be having a meeting for everyone in the Unwoke Army. If you did not get the Zoom link that I sent out before this, please ping me in the Discord or shoot me an email or something. Let me know. I'll make sure you get that link. I want to do a quick touch base right around 6:30, so I'm going to have a little bit of a break, but we'll gather in Zoom around 6:30. We're still doing our work there. The way you join the Unwoke Army and get access to my community Zooms and my book clubs and my crafting bitches and all this other stuff is by heading over to kb.locals.com/support and becoming a member for $5 a month. You can do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift if you would like to support the work I'm doing. Listen, guys, I know that inflation is killing a lot of people, but I really can't emphasize this enough. I cannot do this work without your support. I can't. This is the thing that allows me to dedicate time to doing this. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a well-funded activist, okay? I'm not. I am a scrappy bad news bear style activist, and I can't do it without your help. Michelle, thank you for joining Locals last night. I appreciate it. But make sure you guys join if you want me to keep this up, because if you don't, I got to go back and I got to write a consulting proposal today, guys. I got to write a consulting proposal. So if you want me to spending less time on the woke stuff and more time spending stuff like doing stuff for businesses and stuff like that, it's up to you. I can only do what I can do. Savard says, will joining get someone canceled at the same time? No, joining will not get someone canceled. I don't think anyone's ever been canceled. But Brent, it's worth it. That's like not too much per. I mean, that's like, that's a pretty good rate, man. I'm gonna be honest. All right, guys. I will see my Unwoke Army in about 10 minutes. And for everyone else, I will see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.